Alan, we've made it. Right. So, as you're aware, fundamentally speaking, of course, and from a heart-based reality of new functional programming, we're here to bring the kind of information that from a heart-based centered reality, we believe the rest of our brothers and sisters in this prison matrix are kind of in need of some sort of form of support in understanding this very, very clever computer hologram of a matrix we are all undertaking, known colloquially as the game.
But don't forget, Paul, it's all about our own making. We designed it all in the bigger picture, but obviously these people don't realise this yet, so we're here to educate them. Don't want to call you sheep, people, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And and these kind of things, you know, it's, I suppose, part of our duty here is because we have no idea as such as yet of the particular, let's say, category of characters who will be, you know, plugging into this platform we're creating. But I think it would be safe enough to assume that the general essence of the characters coming our way will have some format, some level of understanding. So in terms of the term sheeple, they all recognise that. We're talking the sheep who follow the crowd, who've lost the ability, through no fault of their own, to actually think critically for themselves, per se,
They've disconnected their self from the higher self, and therefore all the knowledge, what's contained there. So it's our job to put the information in front of them, chew on it, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Then it's not your time to wake up, so fair enough.
Well, for sure. And, you know, as they say, the good old adage is that they're left, right and centre. There's many of them abounding. You know, you can lead a horse to water, etc.
Paul, as you did with me, remember, all those years ago.
Interestingly so.
All those videos.
Interesting.
And I didn't drink at the water, but I went to the river, so to speak. and I looked at the river and thought, this looks quite interesting. I might have a drink later. And I did, about 6 months later, and then my journey started from there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, this was interesting, actually, because this has been, how long ago now? We're talking, 6 years, 5 years, something like this?
6 years, yeah.
Monkey.
In fact, I was living in my first house with Jill when we first got married. So
brilliant.
7 years ago, yeah.
And I'm, you know, just to bring to the table something that, you know, everything that's going to be brought to the table, I firmly have confidence is going to come to the table, and it's meant to be, as we understand. There is not a single occurrence that is able to unfold or manifest, or whatever term you prefer, in this reality, in this game, to any human on this planet that is not in accordance. It's not meant to be happening. Everything's happening for a purpose. And this is a good scope to bring our lenses onto, to get a first insight into the nature of duality and the illusory complex, you know, that's interweaving that. I think that the most base point we might sort of agree on is that currently residing on planet Earth in the human condition, as spiritual beings have chosen the human condition, and the template, if you like, the vibration that is most prominent on the planet. So I tend towards feeling very comfortable with statistics and percentages, and I kind of figure from observation we're kind of looking at the sort of 95 roughly approximately percentage of the population who are necessarily, let's say, blindfold lenses on the world, the illusory
fear factor, getting up for work, on the treadmill.
Well, I mean, that aside,
because as we know, this reality is set up by the elite just to do that. Keep you busy, keep you surviving, keep you earning your money, must look after my children, must work 7 days a week. But in reality, we both know that that's just there so you don't see the bigger picture and exactly all the things what's happening. And that brings me on to my point. Do you want to talk in this first one, Paul, about... Shall we talk about the actual banking system?
Well, you know...
Because that's something what people can latch onto, they can understand, and it's not something too far out there for the listeners on the first show. So I suggest we talk maybe about the banking system and anything financial around that. What do you reckon?
Okay, well, in answer to your very good your suggestion, let me just wrap up on the little direction I was sort of just trying to encapsulate there.
Okay,
as we
mate, sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
Not at all, and you said it perfectly. You mentioned, you kind of, if I say that you fast forwarded to a sort of very generic overtone of, people in a matrix getting up for work. What I was trying to just bring to the attention of our listeners from a more, if you like, a pseudo-dynamic platform was just to point out that, we're actually here on the planet. We're human beings, male and female, of all variable races. That in itself is part of this illusion, the race is the separation. But what I was trying to point out is that we're dealing with about a 95% composite, really, of the entire population who are looking through their eyes at an apparent world apparently outside of them.
Yeah.
Because that's how damn convincing it really is.
Yeah.
When you look at the tree over there across the road, well, of course it's over there. It's built into our language and everything.
Yeah.
And we don't understand this nature of things, that is actually an illusion. It's apparent. Of course it looks like it's over there. But in fact, as I'm waking up and becoming observant of and understanding in relationship now, there is nothing outside of us. We are in this apparent duality and individual separate conscious lenses looking at each other, assuming categorically that we are all separate beings from each other. And there is a certain point, there's a prescience in that of truth, that yes, it's on that level, you're over there and there's this gap of air and molecules between us. Yeah. But the fact that you actually are that air, you actually are the molecules, the trees, the light, the stars, and all of this. So in rounding that up, I was just pointing out that we've got about a 95% of the population at the moment functioning, probably a little less now. I think there's a movement gathering momentum. But let's say there's 85 to 90% of us who don't quite recognize yet that the laser-focused powerhouse, the tool with which we really need to start to understand and analyze, pull apart and see for what it is, see how it actually functions, its very nature of compliance and functionality, is the word perception. Yeah. Our perception is what has led us down this path, necessarily. And a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine from time ago, pointed out so beautifully when I tried to ask them, what's your definition of ego? And they said it lovely. They said it's that aspect of your experience that seeks to control. And I liked it, but it was the next words that she'd quoted from some Sharanavagaya Rajanam, somebody or other, from the Upanishads or the Vedas, who pointed out that it's a necessary evolute. And when I read those words, it really sunk in, because it really brought an absolute, let's say the word powerhouse of support again, to understanding that, listen, you cannot ever know the colour black without its contrast of white. So this duality has its place. It's a necessary evolute. We can't see ego for what it is without it playing out its deception upon us, or it's not doing it to us. We're the creators. But yeah, so that's all I was wanting to wrap up on, and you then nailed it nicely in bringing it into real-time dynamics. That's why everyone's getting up, being fucked up the ass, off to work, chasing a money game, totally unaware, fast asleep, that this is all a massive, magnificent deception, and people are slowly waking up. And the reason
as we've made this show, it's to show people how to basically get out of this prison. And I think that the description you gave was beautiful of the entire, what the prison is made of, what the bigger picture. But I know that some of these people listening, they're not at that point yet, are they? They need that anchor.
Absolutely,
This
absolutely,
reality,
Alan. Yeah.
Understand And I think
Absolutely.
that's what I'm saying about the banks and how they work.
Absolutely,
and where they
absolutely.
came from. I mean, we'll start with that then, shall we? Basically, I mean,
And on that note, well, I'm just going to flow. So if you say
exactly.
we will start this, and I've got something to respond with, I will do it. And as you say, what I would say is where you're stating there that we're here to help people get out of the matrix. Well, I'm always going to go naturally with my natural heart response every time, and allow no fear dynamics in any game here to stop me from saying what I want to respond, because it's a natural response.
Yeah.
So in terms of us, we're here doing this radio show, and with in terms of what's our agenda, and if I say, well, it's to help people get out of the matrix, I'm afraid in my mind that's far too utopian ideal.
It is.
In as much
like
as you cannot get out of this matrix without understanding the very dynamic.
Yes, I agree.
That are here, you with me. So
everybody's
building that. We'll start with them.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm enjoying this banter, Paul. It's
it's good, isn't it?
This is exactly the banter. Yeah, and it's true.
I know. And I'm looking forward to hearing
point,
it back.
I've got my point. We meet in the middle, and the people listening to us, they make their own mind up, don't they? Yeah.
Absolutely. You and I have both listened to quite a fair composite of other radio stations, your Vinnie Eastwood, your blah, blah, etc. Yeah. One thing I always admire when I'm listening to them, and the reason I say this is because right now I'm experiencing this newbie, this virgin territory that we're both just starting in, which is when I hear some of the wiser, more considered talkers, where you never once hear either the interviewer or the guest talking over each other. And I've watched that and listened and realized that that's a skill set in itself. It really is, because, and the reason I said that is approximately 47 seconds ago, we're both going, I noticed free here, so I've now got my first little tester of being at the micro level ready, trigger gun happy the second I hear Alan's I'll stop to let you speak. So that's a growth thing for me too. Are you with me?
Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, we've all got us different styles, haven't we? I mean, I love listening to your explanations on things because they're so in depth and into the minute detail. I love it. Whereas me, I'm just like a sling from the hip, bang, 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 straight to the point.
And that's the balance, though, isn't it? It is. And that's really good, actually. Can I just say, that's a very good thing that you've just brought to light, Alan, because in complete unified partnership, where neither of us, any ideas of one ahead in any, no, that doesn't work anyway, it just doesn't compute. But I like the way that this actually really complements each other. In other words, you can sling the hip, pull the holster out, bum, 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 with the bullets flying through. Here's the subject matters. Here's the points of content, bum, 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 financial, da, da, da. And I can then, with your permission, of course, pick up on them and then bring it down into okay, guys, so what we're talking about here is this. Do you know what I mean? And giving some sort of analytical, definitive context to it, which takes these bullets, which are fast, and they're, controversial bullets. Let it be said, we're going to be firing here, Every fucking aspect of your gosh darned lives, my brothers and sisters, everything you've ever been told is a deceit, is deception, So we can talk about medicine, we can talk about perception, we can talk about relationship to one another through duality, we can talk about the matrix, the hologram, the financial system, the war game. Any subject we like, it's now so interconnected, each of it, and all of it has a sort of base platform that we're starting from, which is, I always say this, human perception in relation to an apparent outside illusion called reality. And that to me is the very base where I think anyone going on this journey, however they run around the housing blocks and take this elevator to this floor and think, God, that was a good movie, and one way or another in disseminating and unraveling all this, you're always